talking. Oh, man.
Talking big noise.
This is how we jump it out, Coach. When did y'all's relationship start? How far back y'all go?
That would be, I guess, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Coach Gibson had brought Nate over from Monroe, trying to get that, kind of that connection, all those kids coming out of there, and Coach Gibson left.
Right.
Nate was a good dude, and I wanted to keep him as much as possible and all that, and help him. He was trying to get started in coaching and all that, and try and help him grow a little bit.
So you weren't coaching at that time? Yeah, just what was your role over there at Monroe, man?
I was actually coaching at Monroe at that
Okay.
time. I was also the athletic director over there, and some things happened to where it kind of forced my hand, and Gilly became a lifeline, so I jumped on that lifeline and I ended up at Central. So,
Man, all right. So what was it, a seamless transition, man? Or did y'all have a relationship before that? He was a total stranger?
he was a total stranger, but let me show you how small Tulsa is.
Yeah, please.
My godmother and his mother are best friends, and his sister and my god sister are best friends. So it was almost like we were already connected, just didn't know it yet. So
Man, so that's all right. It was all she wrote from there?
yeah.
So when you got over here, what did his role become immediately, Coach? What work did you find for this brother?
When he first came, he was inside the school. He worked. We had kind of a separate addition to Trace.
Right.
It was a program that we were trying to do where if you had so many days suspension, rather than suspend kids, we would put them down there with Nate's program and see if we could keep him in school, get him going in the right direction and all that. Immediately became one of my junior high coaches. Did a good job with Coach Matthews and all that. And then also wanted him to coach on varsity and made him the running back coach. So like right now, while he's the junior high head coach, he's also the varsity running back coach. When he's passionate about the kids, that's the biggest thing. I think all my coaches are. They love these kids. Our kids are kind of different out here.
Yeah.
And
they hard to
love
love
them.
sometimes, but we love them anyway.
Oh, yeah, real hard to love. And so, it just kind of grew from there. And then when Coach Brown left, naturally Nate had followed and watched everything he did. So the natural progression was for him to become the athletic director and kind of, he probably wishes he hadn't taken it now, but that's part of it. So,
Man, that's actually a good segue because both of y'all's day jobs, so to speak, it's full, man. Y'all got a full plate. I'm sitting down there in Trace every day, and y'all's names are the most frequently called on the walkie. You know what I'm saying? So, what's a full regular day look like of yours with all of your hats as athletic director? What all does that entail? And you teach too, don't you?
This year I'm in the classroom
Man,
again.
give me a whole day, man. What does it look like?
So when I get here, I use that first hour because I had a leadership to begin with, but they actually take the leadership away. So when I get here, I usually check grades, see who's on that bubble, see who we need to try to contact and talk to.
Of the athletes, you mean?
Athletes, yeah. Checking to make sure we, doing what we need to do as student athletes first.
Yeah.
Then I'm checking emails, and then I'm usually calling coaches and giving them either some good news or some bad news. Normally when I call Coach Shaw, it's like, oh shit, what is it now? And I'll be like, nah, man, it ain't that bad today. Then from there I go to geometry class. So I'm in the geometry class right now because we are short.
Yeah.
And that's what I was teaching naturally before I became the athletic director. I was in Algebra 1 in geometry. And then from there, we come up here to practice. And it actually worked in our favor. It's kind of a double-edged sword right now where we got junior high athletics.
Same period.
Naturally, we were thinking that it would just be Central kids. And we had some kids down the street at Kip that were kind of displaced with football and they needed to get somewhere to play, so we did a co-op with them. So actually, we end up doing study hall for Central kids from about 2:40 to about 5 o'clock. And the KIP kids pull in at 5 o'clock, so we have junior high practice at 5. So I'm usually here to about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I'm here from 8 to 8.
Okay, so your class load. How many classes you got during that?
I got a second, third, fourth, fifth, and a seventh. So I got 5.
5 deep, man.
5. So.
What about you, Coach Shaw? What is a regular Dean day for you? You don't get to sit still at all.
No, you start out working the door in the morning. I have to open the school at 8, and then I'm there at that door till 8:45. You're checking uniforms, stuff like that, making sure. And after that, it's just depending on the day, what students are into, how their mindset is when they come to school. It can be an easy day, or if it's a rough day, I'm doing 4 or 5 suspensions a day. You're walking around, trying to keep kids out the hallway, make sure nobody's in the bathroom not doing what they're supposed to do. And then, like Nate, hopefully if things work out, if I'm lucky enough, I can get to practice on time. The good thing for me is my staff knows, what to expect, what to do. So if I'm not up here, they'll go ahead and get practice started, and I just kind of plug myself in. But there's several days when we're on the field at 3, and I might not make it up here till 3:35, 3:45. And the good thing is, like I said, practice is already going. We usually get done about 5:30, meet till a little after 6, make sure we're good for the next day's practice. But it's a long day. It does. You take a lot of stuff home with you because you got to do a lot of paperwork when you're the dean of student behavior. So anytime I suspend a person or even put them in trace, there's a log entry and stuff that's got to be done behind it. It's part of it.
A lot of red tape to go with it. But one thing I always personally wanted to ask you, how do you determine, or how is it determined, maybe it's not on you, what infraction warrants a suspension versus which one warrants them just going to trace? Or is it a judgment call in a lot of cases?
It's not supposed to be a judgment call. There are some things where it's just going to be an automatic suspension, fighting, cursing out a teacher, being disrespectful like that. Then there are other times where, it's one of those things where you got to know the kid, and depending on how the kid acts when I engage them, if they're a little remorseful and stuff like that, then I'll work with them and put them in trace. If there's somebody that's going to come at me wrong and, you boosting and you capping and all that stuff, then it's going to be like, hey, well, you go home and talk to mom and dad about that. So it just, it just really depends. I try and take each situation on the merit and not just be cookie cutter with that book.
I feel you. Well, what's the longest amount of time a kid can be in trace?
There is no limit.
So you can say, man, you trace for a month, man. Go on.
When I was a trace teacher, I actually had a kid in trace for a month. 30 days, the dean had put him in at that time. And, you try not to use it because you don't want trace to just become the ultimate punishment like that. So, it becomes a negative effect and you don't get what you want out of it. So the most I think I've ever put a kid in trace is 10 days. If it's going to be more than 10 days, then it's best I just go ahead and send them home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that's tricky because a lot of them, sometimes, I'm pretty sure you've seen this, they would rather go home.
Absolutely. It's a vacation.
Yeah, sometimes like, no, I'm going to make the best thing. So trace instead. Now back to you, Coach Goodman. Man, tell me about your athletic career. When did you start playing organized sports, whether it was football or anything else, even though we know you're a football guy?
So I started organized sports downtown at First Baptist.
Okay.
I was on this basketball team called the Little Dribblers.
That's legendary, Little Dribblers. I just knew you were about to say Little Giants for some reason.
And I probably was the biggest kid.
In height, or are you talking about girth?
Girth and height.
Oh, okay.
Back then, I took off, and then I was done after that. About 6th grade, I watched my boy Quentin Chaney just,
left you behind.
Sprout like a beanstalk, and I'm like, why I get stuck at this height? But playing with the Little Dribblers, I probably got to about half court, and I started yawning. And my daddy said, nah, basketball ain't your sport, son. So we moved to baseball right over here at Roosevelt, Roosevelt Rough Riders. And I had a pretty good baseball career. I played baseball all the way until I got to high school. And then from between baseball and football, I started football probably about 5 years old, playing with the not TYAA, the boys club.
Yeah.
On Harvard.
And listen, I went through it too.
Right. The real Bulldogs. Coach Goff and him has done a tremendous job with TYA, but it started at Harvard. So I got my foundation in football comes from Harvard.
Yeah. So just so I'm clear, so Bulldogs, they better than the Mustangs, right? That's what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's not.
I had to get that on record, man.
I mean, we're gonna put it on record. I think in a 6-7 year span, we lost one game.
Oh man.
With the Bulldogs, and I think that game our parents we had some strict parents back then, and right. you didn't do what you're supposed to do in school, you don't play.
One of those.
So we were short, probably about 7 kids, and Glenpool came in and took care of business.
Yeah, one of those.
But we never
established though.
Yeah, and then from there I went to Carver. From Carver I went to Booker T, and then I had a brief stint at Tennessee State.
Brief. Now hold up, man. I didn't know that till just now. I knew you went to Tennessee State. I ain't gonna lie, but why was it brief, man? What happened to you?
Spring practice. A guy named Chris Ham, man. He probably was. Woo. And I'm pretty sure Coach Shaw saw him on his scouting report. Man, he blindsided me, man. And from that point, it was like, you know what? Football might not be my calling.
He had two coming Jesus type of situations like
No, but this cat, man, Chris was probably about 6'7", 6'8". He was a senior. I was a freshman, and hell, I pulled, and instead of me cleaning him, it was almost like he just picked me up, and I just saw this bright. It was one of them segments where at this moment.
Yeah. Nate realized.
Yeah, and then from there I had knee issues too, so that was agonizing. So it was just, and I was an engineering major, so I had to make that choice.
Right.
Is the NFL gonna make it, or engineering is a better calling? So I'm probably, I'm a boosted a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot nothing.
Yeah.
6 foot nothing playing lineman in the NFL, it ain't gonna happen. So.
Man, so you had to come with that realization.
Right.
So it's a wrap.
Yep.
What about you, Coach Shaw? When you start playing?
I started playing when I was 6. We had my mom had moved us to Muskogee.
Say it again.
They love to hear that part. My mom had moved us from West Virginia to Muskogee.
So West Virginia is home.
Yeah, West Virginia's home zone, but I grew up in Muskogee.
Gotcha.
6 playing basketball for the Y Leagues, football for Paul Young.
Yeah,
I played for the Mighty Browns. We used to win that thing all the time.
Yeah.
But
I got winners sitting here.
all the way up through there until I went to West Junior High is kind of where I realized, maybe not. I had a lot of work to do before I was going to be good. I played behind some guys that, Glenn Bell went to Oklahoma, Charles Thompson, some really great athletes at that time in Muskogee. So by the time I got to my junior year, which, I tell the kids all the time, I wasn't always a football coach. You kind of get into mischief with your crew you're rolling with. And, I'm trying to get in the right direction. So my mom gave me the opportunity to move back with my grandparents back to West Virginia. So that's where I went. Moved back to West Virginia, went to a little small school called Notre Dame High School. Man, it was culture shock. I went from Muskogee High that was predominantly black to Notre Dame High School that had 150 students, grades 7 through 12.
Oh my!
Yeah, that's how small it was.
Bottom to the top.
Got a football scholarship from there. Went to one. I actually started out at WVU and realized that big college wasn't for me. You know what I mean? I did real bad.
Was it the academic experience?
Academic, it was bad. In Morgantown, West Virginia, there's something to do every single night of the week. And let's just say I found out every single night of the week.
Coach exploited.
Man. So I transferred to a small school called Salem. Played there for a year, got a scholarship and played there. And then the year after I played, my first year there, they dropped the program because some Japanese organization had bought the school from Japan.
Never ever heard of such a thing even being possible.
Really, it went from Salem College to like Salem Takeo University. That's how it was. That's what it turned into.
Well, the athletics gone at that point too?
The only sport was gone was football. Football was the only sport they dropped. Everything else they kept. And I'll never forget getting that call in the summer, and Coach Rodriguez, who is, he's been the head coach of West Virginia, Michigan. I think now he's down at Louisiana Monroe. He just was distraught when he called. And, it was just one of the things where it was the best thing ever happened to me in my life, because from there I found the yard of West Virginia State University.
Yeah.
The HBCU, man. And at that time, it was still an HBCU. It was about 80% black. And I enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah. Every bit of it. Played football there for 3 years and enjoyed myself. And, like Coach Goodman said, you think you're going to the NFL, but you ain't really work hard enough. I spent more time chasing women and all that stuff and not doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I actually met my future wife there. So It was a good experience.
It's good came from it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I heard in the beginning of that breakdown, you said it took a minute. You noticed that it took a minute for you to be good. When was that moment, if you can recall, where you like, yo, I'm pretty nice at this right here. I can take this up a notch to the next level.
It was, probably my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was
After the move.
After the move.
Gotcha.
After the move. It was like, you got to get yourself in a position where you can earn yourself a scholarship. And like I said, it was the best thing for me going back there. And even playing at that small school, you kind of stood out. You can be the big fish in the little pond, the small fish in the big pond, or the big fish in the little pond.
That's right.
I chose to be the big fish in the little pond. It helped me earn some money. Living with my grandparents was the best experience ever. It taught me a lot. Not that my mom didn't. It's a little different when you grow up in a single parent home and your mom's doing all she can, and then all of a sudden she sends you back, and you got your grandfather and your uncles around who play a major part in you growing up and learning right from wrong.
The fellas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have any say so in that move back? Or was it like mom was like, you know what, it's time. You got to go, man.
It's hard to remember, but it was one of them where, if I remember correctly, we had a good conversation. And it wasn't like I didn't want to go, to go back home to Clarksburg, where I spent every summer from the time we moved there when I was 6 in Clarksburg. And it was always tough when you was leaving and coming back to Muskogee. Yeah. All my family's from there, everybody at that time was just in that small little neighborhood. And so, to get an opportunity to go back, and I'll never forget, and she put me on that bus, 23-hour bus ride from Muskogee, Oklahoma to Clarksburg, West Virginia, man.
Unforgettable.
Man, I'll never forget.
Well, listen, both of y'all are products of HBCUs then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
We're going to go back to you. I want to hear both of y'all's experience there. You touched on it a little bit, but what makes it so, for the common mind who may not understand what the fuss is all about, what makes that experience so premium and so special in comparison to anything that's not that?
For me, it was just the family environment. Coming out of a household with a mother and a father who was always on you about academics and, behavior and just holding you accountable for certain things. I feel like at an HBCU, all my professors held me accountable. Like Coach Shaw said, you can get lost. I ain't gonna tell you how many years it took me to get out of there, but I guarantee you, my first 2 years, I remember a conversation. My daddy said, "Hey man, if you don't make this, you can come back home and get a job." Because like Coach Shaw said, man, as soon as you get off the camp, as soon as you get on the campus and the parents are gone, there's a shuttle bus to pick you up to take you to about 6-7 different clubs. And, coming from I ain't gonna say just a really sheltered environment, but a somewhat controlled environment, to now you don't have that parent over your back, like being in his house and you out kicking, and then you get introduced to
all devices,
alcohol and whatever else may be at a college campus. But those things play a major part, but I also feel like, it's almost like being in Central, where you look at Coach Shaw, and Coach Shaw saying, well, I know the kid. I'm not going to necessarily suspend that kid. Mm-hmm. But let me talk to him because I got a good relationship. And I think at a HBCU, that's what pulled me in. And then just the gumbo of people from Chicago, Atlanta, New York, just everywhere. You just see this melting pot of black people. And now you're picking up different, just different culture. And I used to come back home, and my sisters would make fun of me because of how I talked, because I'd been there naturally for so long. So I picked up a southern twang, so my words became slow. I wasn't enunciating my words. wasn't finishing them fully. And then, and look, I was in Tennessee, so they use, instead of saying man, they say man.
Yeah. Throw that wine in.
And then they refer to things as like, man, pass me that joint over there.
Yeah.
And so they're like, huh? What are you talking about? So just, it was a culture shock at first, but once you adapt it and embrace it, it helped me become who I am today. I've learned how to maneuver and navigate and network ultimately through different avenues, different races, different cultures, and things of that such. So,
man, Coach.
And that's about that. I have to agree with you. That's what helped me. I was a little naive back then, and that's what helped me grow as an individual at that time. Because, like you said, for me, it was people from D.C., New York, Miami, Charlotte, North Carolina, because that's where a lot of our student body came from. And to see all the different people in one place now, we didn't have buses picking us up, taking us to the club. But them yard parties, now that stuff right there, you know what I mean? You go to this and you see the Q's stepping, the Alpha stepping, the Kappas with their canes and all that stuff. And now you really growing and you thinking, okay, so this is what my world's going to look like as I grow older. It was just an experience that like I said, it was a blessing losing that football program and having a transfer there. And then I seen everything that I didn't know, I didn't understand. And now all of a sudden I see a majority of this campus looks like me. A lot of professors look like me. It was, if you were in the cafeteria, you was going to talk to everybody. It was just a good time.
Yeah.
That just helped me grow,
Right.
But then after that, I had to grow a little bit more because, I was still using that slang and all that. But when I started coaching, some of that had to be cut off. But, yeah, it was just great environment for you to grow and learn, to become a better person, better father, better husband. So
here's what I heard from a couple of people that had the same experience as y'all. That they say when you're at an HBCU, the standard is excellence. So it's not foreign to see black folks doing well or doing some things that we may have otherwise considered to be exceptional. It's like, no, this is what it is right here.
Right.
Hopefully that's true. It sounds like y'all are saying something.
Oh yeah.
And I think coming from an HBCU, those professors instill into you that, for one, they instill that competitive nature into you because they understand you're getting ready to go into a real world where, it's not all about what you know, it's about who you know. So even with African Americans, we still kind of use the who you know, but your work has to reflect that. You don't get a second chance to come back and do that work. So you have to put your best foot forward the first time you go out. I think we was even talking about, John Gruden, how the situation he's in now, a couple of years from now, it'll be wiped off his record. He'll apologize, and he'll probably get a job somewhere. As to what an African American coach, that's not guaranteed. So I
Probably
think
more likely to not happen.
right, and just in a realistic world, you have to understand that regardless of how you feel, there's still a white and a black side, and being an African American male, sometimes we have to filter on how we say things or present them.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that second chance to come back from it. So
Unfortunately. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But listen, once y'all got out of college, once your college career academically and athletically was over, what was the first job, the first introduction to the real world? Was it always education and coaching for y'all?
not me. Not by a long shot.
Okay.
When I got out of school, I was working at a small engineering firm called Gates Engineering in Tulsa.
Okay.
And he was a small business owner, black guy, and the contract started getting a little slower. So I was the last man, obviously, and it turned from an intern to a job, and then I left and interviewed with the city of Tulsa. From the city of Tulsa, I went through 4 interviews, didn't get the job.
4?
4.
I thought 2 was
Hey, I went through 4. The last one I had to present a project on, basically building loads and codes and permits and stuff like that. So from there, I sat at the house with Daddy for about a good 4 weeks, and he said, "Hey man, it's good playing dominoes with you, but you got to get out of here."
So at this point, you like 20? What, 23?
I am about 23.
Okay.
23. So I ended up working at Spirit for a little bit. Spirit Aero Systems. And if anybody has been in the aerospace industry, it's cutthroat.
Ooh-wee.
So we got laid off. Came home. This was probably 2 years later. I got laid off, and I had a pretty nice nest. So I wasn't really pressed about going to get another job because I had, like I said, when you ain't got no kids, and at that time I wasn't looking at the broad picture of traveling. So it was just stacking money. I ended up going to help my godmother, just volunteering one day. She needed some help hanging pictures of something in her classroom. And she left me and said, "Can you watch this group of kids?" And it was a first grade class. And
how many of them were in there? That's the question.
Ooh, man. I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
But walking into the classroom, it felt like a kindergarten cop. When they first walked in, I mean, it's just kids everywhere. So naturally, my instinct is like, hey, man, y'all shut up and sit down. And so they didn't understand that. Then I yelled, and instantly everybody, it just clicked. So they sat down, and then the next day I came up there, she sent me back to that same class. And so Fred, I think his name was Frederick Wright. He's a principal, long-time principal. He came out of retirement to go to that school. And he come around the corner with a contract one day. I said, what's this? He said, oh, man, you're going to be in this first grade class this year. I said, no, I'm going back to engineering, man. I'm just up here helping. He said, man, your godmom said you're going to be all right just here for the remainder of the year. So, man, I had first grade, and I stayed in first grade for a year. I got pneumonia and the flu in the same year. Never had neither one of them. Flu-monia. Now, I will tell you this. I mean, since it's open mic, Valentine's Day at a elementary school, the mamas take care of you.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. We'll keep that in mind as we approach that. But we got big kids. That's different.
But ultimately, after I left Anderson, I went back to corporate America for a little bit.
So you really just did that 1 year?
Yeah, I just did that 1 year. Went back to corporate for another year. Got laid off again, and one of my friends at the time was dating a girl named Carlisha, who was a friend with the principal at Monroe. And that ultimately, she had, not even just to come in, she heard I was into football or whatever, so she asked me to come coach the football team, and I went over there a couple of times, and I was like, yeah, I'll take the job. But I was getting calls while I was at my other job every day about these kids that were getting in trouble in school. So I would take off work to just go up there and sit in class with them to see what was going on. And ultimately, I ended up quitting that job and asking for a job in Monroe so I could be there full time with them kids to try to get them on the right track. And I sat over there for 4 years, and then I got...
Teaching math?
Believe it or not, I started out teaching history, like any traditional coach.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. Or PET.
And then towards the end of that career at Monroe, they were short math, and I had a math background. I was trying to get take the math certification test to go ahead and be certified in math, and they put me in that class with some of the same kids that Darian is in that. That's how I got the relationship with Darian. Darian was in the 6th grade over there at Monroe in that same math class. So
you've been building relationships for a long time.
Yeah, I just, and it's
moving up with it.
And Shaw probably got a little deeper than me because he's been in probably a little longer than me. But I think last year was the first class that I saw from 6th grade all the way through high school. And that hit different, Yeah. It's a difference when you starting with them from 6th grade all the way through, and you see the progression and the growth that they have. Some of them don't grow as much, but you see the progression and the maturity level of some of them. And now you see some of them as adults, and it's just like, man, that old saying when your parents be like, man, I'm getting old. I'm getting a little old.
Yeah. We got to put the ER on it. You're getting older.
Old means older.
How was it for you, Coach Shaw? Was it always education right out the gate?
No, not at all. We when I first graduated, I kept trying to chase the ball. So, I spent a couple years playing semi-pro ball. Mm-hmm. My first year, we had my oldest daughter, still trying to play the game. And then when we had my middle daughter, Hannah, it's like, okay, it's time for you to wake up, start going to work. So I got my first head coaching job was at Notre Dame High School, the school I'd actually went out there to. And that's in 1996. And we did pretty good that first year. Second year, we didn't do bad. I mean, you're out there with 20 kids, so that makes it tough to play.
Very much. So
the second year, a coach from Marshall came by. Him and I were just talking, and he liked the way I handled kids and wanted to know if I was did I ever think about being a college coach. And I said, I didn't put much thought into it. So I went down and interviewed for it. It's amazing what they don't pay GAs because you do so much work, you don't get paid. So naturally, I did good on the interview. And so I remember the offensive coordinator putting what you got paid. It was a stipend, $450 a month. Now I got a wife. At this time, I got a wife and 2 kids. She's pregnant with my son, our youngest. And you're just like, But I remember talking to my father, and initially he was like, you can't do that. You can't afford to do that and all that, because I was going to quit a full-time job and move on. He called a buddy of his at the time who had been coaching college ball a long time. The guy told him, said, if he wants to be a college coach, he has to do this. This is the only way he's going to really get broken in. I remember him calling me back and saying, you got to do this. You got to do this.
He changed his tuning.
Yeah, he's like, you got to figure out a way to do this if this is what you want to do. And so, him and my mom have always been supportive. The biggest support came from my wife, Coach, because we moved back. $450 a month, we moved back to the projects. Mm-hmm. We got back on the system. We did what we needed to do for those 2 years to get in and out of there for me to have that opportunity. And being in Marshall, I thought West Virginia State changed my life. Being at Marshall University changed my life even more. You're around great players like Chad Pennington, Byron Leftwich, who just won the Super Bowl last year as OC. We had so many NFL players on those 2 years I was there. And that's why I made the connection with Coach Billings. He was the defense coordinator, and I'll never forget this day. He came in, he opened that door, and he said, tell Mama we moving to Missouri. It wasn't, hey, we going here. He said, tell Mama we moving.
Straight up.
So we packed, me and him, we loaded up a U-Haul. My wife came out there like 3 months later with the kids, gave me time to find a house, and that was my first full-time college job. And I'm telling you, after Marshall, it was easy because I thought I was going to quit football at Marshall the way we was working.
Man, grunt work.
Man, you chasing biscuits, washing cars, getting laundry, picking coaches up from the airport, breaking down film. It wasn't much football, even though you had to find time to learn it.
Right.
But it was the most humbling experience I ever had. Because, when I went, I thought I knew a lot of football.
Right.
When I got there, I didn't know anything.
Was that your first stint as an assistant at any level? Because it sounded like you jumped out the gate as a head coach.
No, that was my first stint as an assistant, yes.
Okay.
And so, but even then, you're not really considered, you're a graduate assistant. So they don't look at it like that, and I work for some great guys, and all those guys are spread all over the country now, and I can call them if I need something and all that. But, I just had this thing where I really don't like bothering people. But I learned so much. And like I said, Coach Pruitt, who should have probably left Marshall and went wherever he wanted to, was loyal and stayed there. He took care of me. Coach Billings was the biggest one. He taught me a lot. He helped me show me how to buy my first house, stuff like that.
That's key.
He trusted me with his kids when we went to Southeast. That's why I got Coach Ponder, Coach Ponder was my first recruit and NFL player that I recruited and coached. He was my first one. My very first one. And then right behind him at the same time was Barry Sanders' nephew, Adrian. At one time, we were 1AA school at the time. We probably had the two best receivers in the country between Ponder and Adrian, and they were special. And so, we were there for 6 years, and then Coach Billings stepped down, so everybody gets let go. And I went back to my alma mater, went back to West Virginia State as the OC. And we had really, really great success. The problem is, which is the problem with most of our HBCUs, there wasn't that commitment. So we're out there fighting with 13 scholarships. You got 13 full scholarships to break up among 90 players and get them. And then early on, we had success. Well, when everybody else turned it up in that conference, West Virginia State didn't. So they got a new president, and our last head coach wasn't real big on politics. Right. So the head coach let him go. The president let him go, and at the time my wife was sick, and we had never lived out here. And I said, well, let's sell our house, and we'll go to Tulsa. Sold our house way too fast.
Oh, no.
And so we came out here, man, and Ponder was the offensive coordinator here when we came. So, I just came by to visit him. Because in my mind, 3 months, I'll find my next college job and we out.
Yeah. And
so things kind of slowed me down. Next thing you know, the head coach that was here, Coach Gibson, he kind of talked to me. He's like, what do you think about volunteering? And I said, you know what, look like I'm being for a little while. I ain't got no problem with that. And then next thing you know, he's asked me what I do with, can I pay you? Then he got me a job in the school. And I just kind of fell in love with the place. And so that's why I've been here, so long.
How long you been here, Coach?
9 years.
9 years. Is this the 9th or is this the 10th?
This is the 9th.
Oh,
this is the 9th year.
Man, that actually makes me feel good because you just based on your story, coaching can be kind of unforgiving. You got to be a journeyman, man. But I think kids, especially at this level, man, that continuity is key. So have you had turnover a lot on your staff? It seems like y'all are tight. Like y'all been attacked for years.
When Coach Gibson left, it was important for me to go and try and keep the guys that he had because I'm fortunate to have really, really good coaches.
Yeah.
I don't have to stand over those guys. They know me. The biggest thing is, and they all got stories, but they don't take me. They take me serious without really taking me serious. And I mean by that because if you watch me on Thursdays, I'm an animal out there on the sideline.
Yeah.
I am. I'm crazy. And stuff comes out of my mouth. They got thick skin. They know where it's coming from. And when we get in here, they laugh and joke about it, and I do too. For me, they're really good men first. And I love every single one of them. So the biggest turnover I've had is probably my DB coach, which, and I'll say this publicly. The best thing happened to me this past season is I lost the DB coach I had, and I was able to get Coach Reisner, who's new. He got a great work ethic. He's comfortable around the guys. He gets in here and he shoots the shit with us like everybody else does. He joins in and jokes, Yeah. But they're all really good men, and they all do a good job. If I got to correct something or I got to talk to about them, they don't take it personal. They know I'm trying to make sure that we doing what we can do to be successful on the field. So I've been fortunate to have all of them. I guess basically, except for the DB coach, for the 9 years I've been here, it's hard to find coaches in TPS because everybody wants to hire their homies and all that stuff, and next thing you know, the cats coming in there high trying to coach the kids and all this. I'm like, nah, I can't do that. So I've been pretty good, pretty blessed, fortunate to have the guys I have.
Man, I tell people all the time, the task I think can still get done even if we're not the best of friends, but it just amplifies it. If I actually like who I got to come spend time with at work, we're going to do a hell of a job.
Right.
But now we got to talk about the stadium, man. You know what I mean? Now, first of all, congratulations to the both of you. We finally got the stadium here at Central High School, which is super long overdue. But I know there was a lot that came with that. Dates getting pushed back. The day-to-day operation of y'all probably got altered to some degree. And then we finally, the week of, although it's a great story, I know it's a pain in the ass for you, the grand opening happened to be homecoming. So you just got a lot of festivities and activities that are attached to that, no matter where homecoming is. So talk about y'all's feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, your grievances, all of that about the state of affairs of the new stadium, man, and all that y'all dealt with in the past week.
So, before the stadium opened, obviously it's exciting.
Yeah.
I would call Coach Shaw. I'd be like, "Hey man, they put PSO flags in the ground. Whatever. If the grass moved,
right,
it was something to get excited about. Just because I've been living over here my whole life pretty much, right over here by the swimming pool.
Oh yeah, you get appreciate this kid like your boy.
Yeah, and so you heard about you go to the barbershop. Oh, Central's supposed to get a stadium. And that was in the '90s. Early 2000s, Central's supposed to get a stadium. So, just hearing about it and then finally seeing it come. I think the Crossland trucks pulled up over here on the side one day, and I just came out here. I think me and Shaw was there, and I went out there and asked him. I said, so are we really getting the stadium? He just laughed. He said, yeah, man, it's really happening. And within a week, they had the Crossland trailer sitting out there, and we was like, okay, this is getting real. So now we're starting to see dirt get turned over. And that year this year we had that somewhat of a brutal winter.
Yeah.
So it kind of slowed down the progression of everything with the winter. And then we had a stint where it was raining every day.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't work. And so things happened our opening date was always September the 24th. And things happened that were out of, anybody's control, where we needed some permits. We needed new handicap ramps. And those wasn't in the original drawing, so they had to fabricate those. And right now we've had the option, we had the luxury of growing up in a pandemic.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so with the pandemic, materials, everything slowed down coming from manufacturers and stuff like that. So they didn't. Ultimately, that ramp's still not here. They found another solution, which they put temporary ramps up, and that's how we were able to open October the 8th. But leading up to that, I think I have been from September to now, two different people. Right now, I'm at peace. It feels like a huge weight is just lifted. Yeah, it's off of me. And like Coach Shaw said, I coach high school, but I've been really blessed for him to be so understanding, because I feel like any other coach would have been like, hey, man, you got to do this over here. And then just working with the guys we worked on, they picked up the slack for me, because, hell, I didn't even coach Friday night. I ended up.
I kept seeing you in passing.
Yeah, I mean, that was just, I feel like I was just ripping and running. Here. But we had a meeting this morning. They're getting ready to make some changes already to the stadium. Just off of that opening that we had, they're going to extend some things and make some walkways a little wider, where it kind of bottlenecked out there. But just listening to Mick Wilson stayed out here the whole night. I don't know if you guys were aware.
I saw him out there on the track.
Mick, man,
majority of the time.
even this morning, Mick pulled up and he just said, man, I had a good time. He said, to have 3,500+ people out here, not one altercation. He said, the only other thing I can see is we got to get you guys some groundskeeping, man. All this trash out there.
Great point.
But, I knew it was going to be a headache, just for the simple fact that it was homecoming, which to me, you couldn't have had a better stadium opener than to have it on homecoming. Everything lined up the way it should have. I mean, certain things we could have fixed, but for the most part, first time, it's ground zero. So you don't know what to expect or what it's going to look like. But I've heard nothing but positive feedback. I think the kids enjoyed it. I haven't really, just to check the temperature. But the one thing that I hope that it brought was pride. And I saw something that night. I didn't leave here till 1:30. It's new to lock up everything. We had so many different locks.
Yeah.
And I was telling the coaches the other day, I said, man, as I'm locking the door, I walk in the locker room out there and there's a kid in there. And I said, man, what you doing? He said, man, Coach Shaw said this is our house, man. So I'm just cleaning it so Coach Shaw don't put us out.
Man, look here.
So to me, that was huge to say he's taking pride in this. You know what I'm saying? It's not just he's taking some real pride in this to make sure it's cleaned up, because he understands what comes with it. Mm-hmm. And just even yesterday, it felt weird watching the varsity kids. Normally after practice, man, it's chaotic to here. You looking out the window and you see everything. Well, now I'm like, Shaw came here to talk to a parent. I'm like, where the kids at? I'm not thinking they already out there and they just walking right out here.
Yeah.
So now it's just, you got ultimate facilities for the kids, and I think it's a good look for TPS, and not only TPS Central with facilities, because like you say, man, as a kid, you want to play at home. You don't want to play at Webster. You don't exactly. And I think we were all in shock as coaches, just sitting here. We was like, man, we don't have nothing to pack up. We didn't have nothing to leave. We were just like, and then coming back right after the game, right in here. So it was just, it felt different, man. It felt right. It just, I don't know. I can't really describe that moment, but I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. I hear you.
Because I mean, that week, I don't think I checked into the school at all last week. I spent most of my days up here trying to pick this up. Shaw was like, man, we don't need no tunnel. I said, nah, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get the tunnel. I want the kids to feel the overall experience, man. Right. So I think with the stadium opening on homecoming, it happened just like it should have happened, man. You couldn't have asked for a better day.
With the way that you approached it, man, I would imagine you had to do a little bit of code switching, man. You're a Booker T guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, your experiences there, did you tap into any of that whenever you putting things together over here at Central?
I always tap into, at the end of the day, you're going to tap into what you know.
That's right.
And like I said, I know Booker T. I know what a homecoming looks like, even at a HBCU side. So that was one of the things that helped me transition to TSU the way I transitioned, was coming from Booker T. So I always tell people I hate to use that, go back to reference. Well, at Booker T we did this because this is Central.
That's right.
And I'm reminded of it every day from alumni of Central. And then I get it from the Booker T side too, man. You act like you didn't go to Booker T no more. I'll be like, hey man, I'm at Central, so I'm gonna just like at Monroe. I went to Carver,
Exactly.
but ultimately I worked in Monroe, so I'm going to invest in Monroe, like, cause it is mine. So I'm going to invest in it like I would invest it in Booker T if I was at Booker T. But at the end of the day, I'm a North Tulsa investor, so
There you go.
I'm invested in all the schools. But this is home right now, and as long as I'm here, Central is gonna get 110%, and our homecoming was better than Booker T's because we was here.
There you go. I respect that, man. Coach Shaw, how tough was it, if tough at all, to keep the main thing during that whole homecoming week? And just so we're clear, the main thing is you want to win the game.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Hold on, let me cut him off real quick because I forgot something. See, Coach Shaw said we over. We kind of forget certain things. So somebody called me last week, and they were questioning, man, why is the pep rally on Thursday and not on Friday? And I said, man, I didn't see Shaw take some words and break some spirits with the pep rally being on game day because it's a huge distraction sometimes to the kids. And they was like, nah, he said, man, y'all can do it on Friday. And I just sat back in my chair like, man, no, he didn't. Any other day, he'd be cussing us out for doing a pep rally on a Friday. But I'm going to let him talk. I just had to throw that nugget out there.
You could see a little bit of it. But for the most part, the kids stayed on course. You know what I mean? The hardest part, like Nate said, when building the stadium, the hardest part for us was just getting to the field. You know what I mean? Because we did a good job initially at walking around and all that. But, our kids, it gets old. Now all of a sudden they're trying to sneak through and all that. Now Nate's getting calls from the construction people, from the district. So, but once it was done, you could kind of see their faces change, their energy change. They got excited. And then Friday night, when we came back out at halftime, I purposely put my back to the crowd so they could look at the crowd. And I told them, y'all need to understand how important this is and what these people are here to do. Yeah, they're here to see this stadium, but y'all are a part of this history too. And, it kind of got them excited because, hopefully every home game is packed like that. But we know realistically sometimes it's not going to happen that way. So I wanted them to enjoy and savor the moment. Because at their age, they take a lot of stuff for granted, and they don't realize that.
That's and then y'all went out there and put that work in, got that W.
As bad as we played, we did. We didn't play very good, man. We got a lot of mistakes. The problem is we're such a young team, and we got a lot of parts out there that are important that are put in the hands of young kids that don't have much experience.
Right.
So, we're trying to get the best we can out of them. The one thing I'll say about this team, this is the best team I've probably had since I've been here. Not just athletic-wise, but they're unselfish. They cheer for each other. You don't have a lot of that nonsense I had to put up with in the past.
Right.
They are truly for each other out there. In the past, I haven't had that. And it creates a lot of headaches for coaches when you got to go through that.
Mm-hmm. And those are hard teams to beat, man. When they're doing it for the next guy.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's tough. Now, when you say young, you talking about in terms of experience or classification?
I'd say more experience, although we're pretty young classification. I'll lose 8 seniors this year. But a majority of our team, the majority that we need will be back. They'll be back next year. And, there's always a couple seniors that you'd like to have back. But if I lose them, this would be the best time to lose them because the kids coming behind them are just as good, maybe even better. Speaking
of the program behind them, man, that middle school team is rolling right now, man. Y'all ain't put one in the L column yet, have you?
No, not this year.
What's that like, man?
It's tough now. Yesterday I had to, they've been making coaching real easy. I was telling somebody the other day, it doesn't matter what kid we give the ball to, everybody is thinking, take it to the house. And like Coach Shaw says, is that they're not selfish neither. They play for each other. So it's not ultimately one kid. Normally it's a middle school team. You got that one star player. He's the show. But now I can spread the ball out pretty evenly and they'll, and not one person is selfish about it. The struggle right now is we're down to an athlete at quarterback. We lost QB1 a couple of weeks ago with a broken collarbone. And then we lost QB2 last night. It was I'm not gonna say that, but it was a hit that shouldn't have happened. Referees called it. It was helmet to helmet. Right. He got concussed, so he's out for they say 5 days from the last symptom. So right now he still has a headache. So
Concussion protocol. Yeah.
So last night we had to, literally we had to pull out the drawing board and
coach a little bit.
We had to coach, and draw up some things because at this point it was just like, hey, at this point we're just gonna put the best kid we got that we trust with the ball, just to take care of the ball. And first play of the game, we ran 34, and he stuck it out there, and running back went right past it and fumbled the ball, and I'm just like, Coach. All I kept thinking was like, can we get to Memorial next week?
There we go.
But no, they are. I love this group of kids because they, starting last year, man, they would come up here. Coach Shaw opened up the weight room for them, just like the high school, man. They were here every day, consistently in your face. So not only are they passionate about, just being here, but they're also getting to develop relationships with those high school coaches, which hopefully they'll translate to when they get to high school straight from middle school.
Didn't have to beg on the behavior. Oh, that's hungry there.
No, those kids, man. Like out of all the middle school teams I've had, this is probably one of the best ones. I don't have to, and I hate to say this publicly, but I don't have to take kids home. I've had more parent participation, and the good thing about this team is I see more fathers.
Bingo.
Being involved with kids. I rarely interact with a mother. You are going to get some single parents being at an inner city school, but for the most part, I'm dealing with fathers, and to me, that's a huge success. Just seeing fathers being active in their sons' lives and concerned on what's going on, not only on the field but academically. I've had a parent, one of my better athletes, academically started slipping this year, and mother and father said, "Hey, coach, do you mind if we pull him?" I said, "Nah, hey, So he's been missing. He's been missing for 2 weeks, and it's been solely based off his performance in school. And so just to see that things are finally starting to change. Like, I've been here. This is going on my 6th. This is Shaw's 9th. I'm pretty sure he can tell you, man. It's been a struggle for some years, man. Just to finally see the light at the end of that tunnel, and these parents are starting to kind of get it. Not only just the parents, but the kids. I can remember last year. I could kind of not last year. The year before, we had a practice on. What was that, Labor Day?
Mm-hmm.
And normally we know we're going to have to pick up these kids naturally because the majority of them ride the bus. But we still were missing quite a few kids. And then we had one kid that, he rode a bike. And Trevin probably, 6'4", 250.
Mm-hmm.
He rode his sister's bike.
Yeah, he did.
And,
oh, man.
From 56th Street North.
From 56th Street North. And so when he got here, we saw him come up this little back street right here, and Shaw came over and he said, "Man, I can't even punish that kid, man. He rode the bike, but, just listening to stories about them where they say on Labor Day, man, there wouldn't be no kids to, I think last year we probably missed one kid. So now we're not missing any kids, and if we are missing them, they showing up late. They trying to get here. But we do understand kids can't drive, and it's a lot of the time it's out of their control, but they're doing a lot better with communicating and just, calling for a ride, not waiting till 3 o'clock to say, "Hey, coach, I need a ride." They start calling you early that morning. So you can start seeing some things change at Central, man. So,
man, this is the beginning of some brighter days even from this point.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, y'all started off 3-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
This year, and then you dropped 2. Talk about the differences in coming into practice day after day when the fellas are riding high, feeling pretty good about themselves, but you got to keep that boots to asses to get some work done. And then also, conversely, after you've been in the doldrums for a couple weeks, how you attack them to get the spirits back up so we can lead the pass in the past and move on to the next.
My thing is the first game's always easy to get them up for.
Mm-hmm.
McLean, even Memorial, because there are other TPS teams. Went down and played with Boca. You're right. You have to stay on them because unfortunately, our kids get this feeling that they are way above where we really are. You know what I mean? They riding high. We 3-0 and all this stuff. And then we lost to Veneta, and I'm not going to take anything away from Veneta, but that's the first game all year I seen us just not play the way they were coached. There wasn't that energy, that fire. We had a little bit of that you could see the cracks in them when they started coming to each other. And so the next week, we knew we was going to play Holland Hall, the number 1 team in the state. I talked to him before the game. I don't give a lot of pre-game speeches. I'm not a big rah-rah guy and all that stuff, but I want to talk to him about the 3 types of people: leaf people, branch people, and root people. You could see him grasping what I was talking to him about. And they, you know what I mean? And for the first half, we went out there and we played our ass off. You know what I mean? And
Touchdown lead.
Yeah, and that's what was so disappointing, because for once they played like they were the number 1 team in the state, and we went up and down the field on them. But then we didn't keep that same energy second half. And so, 2 losses in a row is tough, especially for our kids. Their confidence gets down, their psyche gets down, and you're trying to hold them together. But like Nate said, the one thing about us is it's different now. They know they got to come to work every day. They got to get better. I've been a little lax with, usually I'm playing music in practice that keeps our energy and stuff up. But, stuff like that, they got to earn back. A lot when I used to play it, they out there dancing more than they working. And I'm like, y'all not focused on practice. But, it's a lot easier now than it has been in the past to get these guys to understand, okay, we got to take our lunch pill and hard hat every week to beat teams. And, I'm hoping what we did to Manford carries over this week to Verdigris, which carries over. The good thing about football, top 4 teams in each district goes. And so I tell these guys, just because we got 2 losses, we way from being out of it. And we got to keep going. So, it's exciting and we're getting better. Our thing is always eligibility at a school like this. You fight that, and for the most part, we're in good shape. But you got to stay on these kids about their academics, because a lot of these kids don't get that at home. Right. They don't have those parents pushing them saying, "Hey, you're gonna be ineligible next week," and all that stuff like that. So they got us coaches here every day. Coach gives me a list, and I'm browbeating them. We had study hall yesterday, got study hall today. We had to stay on them to keep their grades up, because at the end of the day, they're here to graduate high school. That's the job here.
They'll tell you they're here to play football.
Oh yeah, that's what you're gonna hear from them. And I tell them all the time. My job as a high school coach is to get their foot in the door with college coaches. I got plenty of connections, plenty of friends I can call, and I say 2 things gonna sell you. First is gonna be your academics. If your grades is intact, they're gonna keep looking. The second thing is your film is gonna sell you. If on film you ain't making plays or doing nothing, I don't have a friend of mine that's going to put their life or job on the line to take a kid just because I said, "Hey man, give him a scholarship." They feed their kids off of that. They trying to find the best player. So if your highlight film ain't selling you as the best player, then you're not going to make it. So that's what I try and get these kids to understand. Academically is always going to come first, because if you ain't got the grades, they're not going to waste your time. They're not even going to take a look at you. So, we're getting better.
Talk about the influence, or the impact, right? That's a better word, of 2 of your transplants. You had 2 of them come to you relatively new this year, right? And just that I know of by name. Bill Shaw, right?
Bill Shaw,
and Mawan Brown.
Mawan Brown and Jamon Silas.
QB.
The QB. They all transferred here from Union. For whatever reason, whatever didn't work out for them out there, and they just thought they needed a better environment. More so, after me getting in there and looking at everything, more so academically, I can see why they came to Central, because here we're a little bit more hands-on. You're at a school like Union, there's so many kids out there, you don't get the type of academic help that you need. They all, looking at the transcripts, you can see it's a lot of struggling going on. And so, that's the main thing we've sat and talked about is academically. I met with each one of them when they came. When they got enrolled in school here and done what they're supposed to do, I said, okay, what do you want to do after high school? Well, naturally, all kids want to go play college sports. I said, okay, well, your grades right now ain't telling me you want to go play college sports. I said, I love the fact that you're over here, but these grades are not working for me. This what I'm looking at is not what my expectation of you is. And I blame 2 people. I blame Union High School for that, and I blame the young men for that, because there should be a collaboration. There's no reason. As a man, if I give you my son, I'm expecting you to, hey, he ain't doing what he's supposed to do in school, you let me know. Where was the contact? Where was the drive to push? They're great athletes. I mean, football is what's going to propel them in life. at least the way they look at it.
Yep.
Where was somebody telling them, you got to do your damn schoolwork. You can't be out here doing this and that. Your grades are XYZ. They need to be AAA. You know what I mean? You got to do all this. And all that's part of it. And that's what, we want to run and take our kids to the suburbs. That's fine and dandy. If you think your kid's going to get a college scholarship because he goes to the suburbs, then do that. But I promise you, at a school like Central, these damn kids going to get their education first. Because I don't care if they go to college and play football, coach. I don't care about that. I care about them getting a degree or some form of higher education, whether it's over-the-road trucking, welding, whatever. I used to push college, but everybody's not built for college. But everybody, especially young black males, have to have some form of higher education in order to beat the next man out to get the job they want. Well, these 3 kids are great football players. They are, and they've showed that on Friday, and this week will be Thursday nights. But what I need their ass to do is become great students too. And that's my thing. That's what I press. When I talk to their family, I ain't talking to them about they're going to go play college football and all that. I'm talking about, hey, I need this math grader. I need this English grade. I need you to do better in history. I need you to do this is what's going to help me sell them to the next level.
That don't happen without this.
Absolutely not. And, and I think they understand. I mean, I'm a little different because, and I tell these kids, I'm an asshole. I do, because I expect so much more out of our young men than they naturally they expect out of themselves. But I expect in your life, you got 3 pieces of your life. You got your academic life, you got your athletic life, and you got your social life. If any part of that life is screwed up, it's going to screw up the other 2. And that's why I try and get these guys to understand. If your academic life ain't right, your athletic life going to be screwed up because you ain't going to get to play. If your social life, because your girlfriend done broke up with you, or she with side piece Keith or something like that, you going to be upset and you ain't going to play right. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Right. All of that stuff goes hand in hand. And that, while they've transferred in, they're unreal. Bill's an unreal wide receiver. If I left today and went back to coaching college football, I'd tell him, no, don't hire me yet. Let me tell this kid what he can get. I'd offer him a Division I scholarship right now. He's that good. Maiwan can be that good. He's a little raw. Jamon is a great athlete. He plays quarterback for us, but the reality of it is when he goes to college, somebody's going to take him as an athlete. He's going to be an outside linebacker, safety, or whatever.
All 3 of them are juniors, right?
Yep.
Oh, man.
But right now, they're just, they're doing everything to help us win. And when you take those 3 and you add them with a Tyon Cox or a Carmelo Davis, shoot the one last week, Rayon Twin Delosier, man, these kids have that's why I say it just naturally just all came together and they're pushing each other. My thing is we just got to do better every week. We, as coaches, we can't screw it up. That's what I always say.
Accountability guy right there.
Absolutely.
I got about 2-3 more things I want to throw at you guys. Tell me how you decompress after a game. How are you after a win versus how you are after a loss? How long does it take for you to get past either one of them? Maybe I should bring home staff.
I think I've seen those tough losses where we come in here and we just sit. I mean, at that point, you're at a loss for words. But the good thing is it doesn't carry over until the next day. We get it out now. We've even had some come to Jesus talks after a game. A win, that's the one good thing about Coach Shaw. He recognizes the win, but he also recognizes there's so much more that we could have done. We made a lot of mistakes even though we got the win. We just need to correct them. So it's not, like I say, man, he's probably one of the easiest coaches to work for. He's not a micromanager, which is huge. And like the morale of the coaches,
Yeah.
We all can piggyback when something is wrong with one another. So we kind of know, like, okay, I need to pick up the slack for him today. And I think that's the one big thing that's helped the wins and the loss columns coming back in here after a game. It's more of a family environment. So we argue, we cuss each other out. I mean, to me, it's like I call all the guys my big brother, even though we don't have any relations at all. We if you saw some of us, sometimes you wouldn't think we liked each other at all. But then there are days you'd be like, man, I want to be a part of that staff because it just clicks.
That's how family works.
That's all it is. It's just a family. And that's what we try to instill in the kids as well. Like, treat it as a family, man, because, you're not going to let anything, well, you got brothers, you're not going to let anything happen bad to your brother. No matter how bad your brother piss you off,
Right.
the next man can't come in here and piss on your brother. So,
cold, baby.
I think it's, and it just depends on the type of loss. Like, I think the Holland Hall loss kind of hit different because we had those cats, man. And I think the biggest struggle is, like Coach Shaw said, the same energy level didn't come out the second half. I think that they didn't realize what they were on the verge of getting ready to do. They was going to upset them cats. And that would have been a huge...
Talking about making some noise.
Man.
Oh, yeah, it'd be...
Huge. And I guarantee you, if anybody, whatever that second half of that film just didn't work for them, when they saw that first half, they were looking like, what is going on in Central?
Right.
Because even as a coach sometimes, you know the potential that you have, but sometimes getting them to pull out that potential. And then hell, I've been here, man, when we've had a kid getting ready for a 7-on-7 and DHS just left his house. So you don't know the psyche of that kid when they come out. That's the one thing about being at Central is you don't know what kid you're going to get that day.
You don't necessarily let you in. Even with a good relationship, there's some things they're just going to keep.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna stone face you now. You're not going to. And that's the thing, with these guys, when we come in here, the one thing I love about us, and whenever I talk to any coach, any of them, we don't point fingers. It ain't offense, defense, all that stuff. We all took that loss together. You'd be surprised. Now, my first couple of years here, I've seen a couple of that, and I'm thinking, I'm like, of course, me, I'm quick to tell somebody I done forgot more football than you know. I'm quick with that on some people. But these guys, man, we come to work early get in late Friday, come work early Saturday morning. And it's funny because I'm more excited not to get here and break the film down, try and get it out. I'm more excited to come and be in here with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feed off them, and we sitting in here, and we made mention last night, very rarely, we usually push on with it. Like Nate said, we'll come in here after the game, we usually sit here. Now, me, it's tough. Yeah. I hate to lose. You know what I mean? I hate to it. But then you sleep on it. If it's college football, Saturday I'm gonna have my Crown bottle and my Coke on one side.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I'm watch ball games all day. I'm gonna text in the group. Yeah. I'm gonna mess with him about Alabama. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be on my other guys about OU because I'm a West Virginia fan. You know what I'm saying? So it's fun and it makes it a lot easier to handle because we all going through this together. It ain't no, this guy, that guy. We all going through it, and I'm telling you, Coach, they make it easy. Like you said, they pick up the slack. My back right now, I got to have back surgery soon. So a lot of times I can't walk around out there practice. Well, they understand that, so I go out there and I walk around, yell when I can. But a lot of times I got to sit down. It don't never change. They energy still the same. They carry practice on whether I'm out there, whether now, yesterday I sat in a press box a lot. So they take care. They take care of me, man. I kind of learned from. It's the one thing I learned from Coach Pruitt and Coach Billings is you don't micromanage. You hire guys to coach, you let them coach. If you got to go down there and yell and all that, then you do it and you get out their way. But for the most part, man, I watched those guys. I mean, the year I left Marshall, we were ranked number 10 in the country, and I watched Coach Pruitt. He'd be up in the press box all the time. He'd hit that darn thing and he'd yell down what he wanted. He'd come through there on Sunday, see if we was at work. He'd go to the matinee with his wife, you know what I mean? So you let guys do their job, and you get better coaches that way.
I don't want to micromanage. I figure if I got to do your job for you, I should keep that stipend.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to pay me. Okay, now, hobbies. What can anybody catch either one of you two gentlemen doing outside of anything sports related, man?
So, I think it's pretty well known, and at Central and maybe even Tulsa. If you ever need me after hours,
I know where to go.
Yeah, everybody. I'm into cigars, so I'm at the cigar lounge.
Right.
Usually, I picked up a new hobby here lately. I think I like it just because it provides a different perspective. I started refereeing Little League games. So.
Oh wow! That sounds like productivity more than relaxation.
Yeah, but so to me, I'm still around football.
Right.
At this point now, I'm laughing because I'm actually that same coach that's riding as referee, and now I'm in the referee seat. So I'm like,
do you give him some grace though, or you quick on the line?
Yeah, okay.
The pot kettle.
Hey, last Saturday was the first time I had to use the flag, man, with a coach, and ultimately my thing is, you can't you don't want to never ride the referee so hard you forget that you're out here coaching kids. Mm-hmm. And I felt like he lost sight of what he was doing. So he started, he was throwing out some choice words. So I threw a flag. Then he said another choice word, so I threw a hat. And sometimes you get lost in the sauce. So I said, "Do I need to throw anything? Well, do you want some more?" But I think just it helps me escape from, it just takes me away from Central. Like that's the one reason I go to the cigar lounge is because at that moment I ain't got to worry about what's going on at Central. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen while I'm not there.
You worry about tomorrow.
Right. And I've gotten a lot better where I don't take my computer home as often, just because I know I have to find that work-life balance. And when I first started off, I'm pretty sure like anybody else with a new job, you don't want to fail. So you try to go above and beyond. But, for me, one of the big things that I picked back up when the pandemic first hit and it kind of forced us to be at the house was I started playing Xbox again. It took me back to my childhood.
That's a win, I suppose.
Yeah, and then just, being able, my nephew is big on Madden, man. It's so crazy how the tide turns. I used to beat on him as a little kid. And now that he's an adult, he's kicking my tail, but he's coaching too, so we kind of share stories. But It's good to have the technology piece to where I can just put on a headset and we'll be right there in the same room playing a game, talking noise, like we sitting right next to each other, but he's probably 400-500 miles away from me. But I think the video game piece, the cigar lounge, refereeing, and then just hanging out with my ex-father-in-law, Wild and Turl.
Wow.
No, but this is the locker room right here. Yeah. This is the coach's office every day. We joking about something, but just hanging with these guys, and then we got a text thread, man. To be a fly on the wall sometimes, and that's why I say just even after loss, somebody's gonna come in there with something stupid.
Get you laughing.
Get your mind completely off of what just happened, and just the memories that you make with people. That's probably the best downtime because we got pictures that we bring up from 6-7 years ago.
See?
And they still hit the same today. So it's
Boy,
but
wow,
I really enjoy and truth be told, I'm an avid basketball fan, man. So I enjoy watching basketball, man. So
I do know that much. What about you, Coach Shaw, man? What you get into, man?
I don't have too many more hobbies. I used to play basketball every weekend, even up until when I became head coach. It slowed down for me because I started working more.
Yeah.
And then now, I guess my family's my hobby.
Man, I love the mess out of you, man. They always post about that.
I don't, we're fortunate. I get to see my mom and dad every day, and then my kids are around. We
professional around here.
So I spend a lot of time with them. My wife, she's always been good to me. My biggest supporter. She traveled. If you see me, she's probably traveling somewhere behind me.
Loudest at Holland Hall a couple weeks ago.
And that's her.
And knew what the hell she was talking about.
She's been a coach's wife I've been doing this now almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So, she's been around the game. She's traveled with me. My kids grew up around it. So, I spend a lot of time with them on the weekend. They know I wake up, I come to work, I go home, especially this time of year, I'll watch a couple games, and then in between games, I'm watching our film or whoever we're playing, so I can text these guys, tell them what I see. But I guess my biggest hobby right now is my family. You know what I mean? I just hang out with them, and with my sister. She moved here a few years ago, so her kids are little. I get to see my nephews CJ and Riley play soccer on Saturdays, and so I guess hobbies has kind of gone by the wayside for me, Coach.
Well, you figured it out though. You got a little hobby system that works.
Yeah, you're right.
Now I can't let you get out of here without mentioning your staff members on your middle school coaching staff. Man, they're gonna be cussing at me next time I see them, man. What What about those guys? But you talked about the high school staff when people Coach Shaw in the game where you little bro. You know what I mean? Talk about the crew out there with the J-High.
Man, it's a mixture of a little bit of everybody. Terrence, Corey brought Terrence on, man. So I didn't know who Terrence was or know anything about Terrence.
Right.
Corey kind of stuck his neck out for him, and Terrence has been a huge part of the success with the junior high program. He provides that youth to where he's still kind of young, and he'll get out there.
Get physical with him a little
bit. And I'll be like, hey, man, y'all not understanding what I'm trying. Terrence, man, show him how to do this real quick. And then Chris Mitchell, he's got a pretty nice resume as a football coach, so he's providing some techniques and things that he picked up along the way. And he's just, you know, Chris was a hustler, so Chris might be on a tree job and call you about, man, I'll be 5 minutes late. I got to go pick up this watermelon, but I'm on my way to practice. And then Mike Davis, man. Mike Davis is, I'm trying to talk to Coach Shaw about bringing my own. Mike is, I grew up with Mike, so, you know, Mike helped us kind of bridge the gap with the KIP co-op. But Mike is amazing, man. Mike is he's a great teacher, but he's also got that stern fist.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also a loving, so he's like, he gonna chew you out, pull you back in, love on you some more, and then kick you back out there and chew on you some more.
Yeah. Balance.
Right, and then I got Stink down on Pope.
Yeah.
His connection is, man, Stink is just North Tulsa kids all the way through and through. Regardless, man, on what they doing, his heart is about the kids. So, to me, we trying to teach those guys football. We want them to be prepared for high school. We want them to kind of we ain't going to give them everything, but we're going to give them what we can give them with the short time that we have. So when they get to high school, the transition isn't so lost. Actually, and you know, I can think of right off the top, we got two that we had last year that are starting at two critical spots. You got Denzel at center, and you got Big Treston at nose. So
first of all, them two of the most entertaining.
Oh man, hey, they some characters, man. But you know, and I think those kids seeing that know that that's a real possibility for them. If they get to the high school side and they work, and you know, we're not, like you said, we're not union. We don't have 100 players out there on the field. So
playing one way.
Exactly. At some point, your number gonna get called, and are you gonna be ready?
Right.
Is what we try to instill in them. Always be ready and be, you know, pay attention. Because I mean, that's the hardest part with the middle school kids is
really looking around.
Yeah, they counting stars, and just like Shaw said, they was playing music yesterday. We over there in the middle of a game. They just stopped and started hitting the Dougie. We like, bruh.
Come on, fellas.
We only up 14 points, and we out here dancing.
Undefeated, man. Undefeated.
But that staff, man, is kind of really just a bunch of humble guys, and you can tell they're trying to get, you know, they start somewhere. And like you said, a lot of them had a lot of ties in North Tulsa, so it made it easy. And middle school, like you said, you're not gonna get rich off of a middle school stipend. You spend most of that stipend burning gas, picking and taking kids home. So when you get guys that's here consistently on a daily basis, like I can say, Stink got X amount of kids that he's away from on a daily. Mike just had a newborn baby, and I had to force him to stay. The day the baby was born, we had a game. I said, Mike, we good. Mike FaceTiming me on the sideline, man. Let me see what the O-line doing. What I can. Yeah, you know, it's just a bunch of great guys, man. And like I said, if I had kids, man, everybody from high school to middle school, I wouldn't mind my kids being around those guys. And to me, that's a huge part.
That's big. Here's how we wrap it up, fellas. Think back in the archives. One game that you lost, that you shouldn't have lost. Whether it was in your playing career or in your coaching career. Y'all lined up across from a team, and for whatever reason, they got the best of you that night. And it still sits with you. And if you could go back and run it back today, you'd do it. Which one of them got you? She didn't have no business getting it.
You got a long archive.
I'm thinking about 1998. We was undefeated. We was 8-0, and we went to play Bowling Green State University. I'll never forget this.
And this is
when I was at Marshall. We went up there, And first of all, Bowling Green is like it's got to be the armpit of the earth. I mean, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's just like you drive and then the school just appears.
Yeah, that's all that's there.
So we out there, man, and it's kind of a dreary day, and we just can't get it going for whatever reason. And so the student section is directly behind our bench, and they have one of those stadiums that comes all the way down to the field. And so Coach Pruitt, who is like, he is so ingrained and so this way that he let the managers put these black socks on the kids, never worn before, ever let them wear this game. We were getting beat, man, and they were standing behind us. They were yelling, overrated, because we were ranked high. I want to say we was getting ready to crack the top 10. And they just start whooping us. And they're standing behind there, and he's got his hair all this disheveled. He's cussing. I mean, he's going up and down the sideline giving us the business. I'll never forget it, because after that game, as soon as we flew back to Huntington, he made the equipment managers put those black socks in a dumpster and burn them.
It's over with.
That's the reason we lost the game with black socks. I'll never forget that. That's the game. Because we should have blown them out.
Right.
And he blamed it on the socks.
He didn't point this way. Huh?
Nah, it's straight socks.
Yeah, Lee. What about you, Coach Goodman? I know his record is unlimited. Is that what you're telling me?
Nah, man, I wish it was. The one I wish we could get back would be the state championship in 2002. Lost to Guthrie.
That was in what, your sophomore year?
That was my junior year.
Okay.
That was my junior year. We lost to Guthrie 16-13. Undefeated the whole year. And as a coach, you kind of tell your kids it gets tougher at the end.
It does.
We went from.
You ain't just making it up when you say that.
Oh no. We went from blowing teams out by 50 to first round playoffs. We play McLean, beat them 35-0, and then we go right off the rip. We playing Carl Albert. Carl Albert is the defending state champions. We playing them at Boogie T, and that game went back and forth. We just realistically. Our athletes just out-athleted theirs.
There you go.
I'm not gonna lie, it was just
good to have.
Right. And I mean, it was the Robert Meacham show. The fourth quarter, last 2 minutes. Coach say what y'all wanted, man. Get a ball number 3. I mean, why? What else who else we gonna get to take this ball in? And Robert made a spectacular catch, got us down to the 1. Then we ran a reverse. Robert took it into the end zone, and we won the game by 6 points. Then we get to Skelly Stadium. We play Douglas. 7-6. Then we go to Guthrie, man. It's a man. You can pull it up on YouTube, and I hate that they even put that video on YouTube. But it's a foggy night. The stadium is just full of fog and it's cold. And I mean, I don't think we've ever been hit that hard. They just,
one of those.
They beat us. I mean, when I tell you they beat us offensively, defensively, our bread and butter wasn't working. And then I just remember after the game, we walking back into the tunnel. They trying to do this trophy presentation, and all you keep hearing. They made us come back out to get the silver trophy, and we all standing there. And I remember Reggie Young walking up there. He was the only one wanting to go pick up that silver ball, and we were cleaning out. When my father passed, we were cleaning out the house, and I found that.
Thank God forsaken.
Silver medal. I said, Mom, you can throw that away. We don't even need that.
Did she ask you, were you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. No remnants of it, but
I feel that.
But that was probably the toughest loss that still kind of, to this day, you kind of feel it because, in high school, that's all you work for is really a state championship. And, my nephew and them, they joke on me all the time. We got 3, man. You didn't get one. I sit over at Eli house. I mean, I got a state championship ring. Where yours at? Coach Payne, Turl, all them talking about state championships. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, we lost ours 16-13. So.
Man, I always ask that question because it's a trip that I'm pretty sure y'all got a lot more good moments in your memory than the bad ones. But the bad ones, they at the front of your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Don't let ourselves off the hook that easy. Well, fellas, I know y'all got a busy afternoon. I appreciate y'all sitting here kicking it with me, man. I got to learn more about you guys that I didn't already know, man. So much success. Continue kicking ass and taking names. And, we all family over here at Central, man.
Appreciate you, Coach.